Hello to everyone attending the National Federation of Democratic Women's Southern Regional Meeting. It is always good to connect with my friends, all those women out there, and I know there's a few men that have broken through the glass ceiling who do so much to support our party. I'd like to first recognize three of the incredible women who will be speaking today. We're lucky enough to be joined by NFDW President Gail Buckner, NFDW Southern Regional Director Kathy Adams, and of course NFDW past President Virgie Rollins, who's also the chair of the DNC Black Caucus. Virgie is a spectacular leader, and I'm so proud to call her a friend. I got to know her during my many visits to Michigan, and she's just incredible. I've met with the national chapter several times, including last August, and it continues to be clear that this organization is in great hands. The NFDW has been a major force in promoting our party's agenda and engaging supporters. Because of your efforts, we now have a record number of women in Congress, as well as 24 women in the U.S. Senate alone. But we still have more work to do. After all, 24 women senators is not enough. When I was on Trevor Noah's show a way back, I told him that there had been nearly 2,000 male senators throughout history and only a bit over 50 women senators. And he said if a nightclub had that kind of ratio, it would have been shut down a long time ago. And by the way, do you know what the numbers are on the Supreme Court of the United States? Relevant for this week. 115 justices, 108 of them white men. So I guess Trevor Noah's words would be the same. If a nightclub had those numbers, they'd shut it down. On top of your spectacular work elevating women candidates, you've also played a critical role in winning several key elections in the South, including those of my good friend Senators Jon Ossoff and Reverend Raphael Warnock. I just watched Raphael's new ad. You should check it out on his Twitter feed, launching his campaign this week, and it's really great. My colleagues and I will not soon forget that it was Southern Democrats, fueled by incredible Black leaders and organizers, and particularly Black women leaders, who came through and secured our Senate majority. Why did it matter? I think you know. With that majority, well, it's a 50-50 Senate, but it gave us the leadership position. We passed pandemic relief legislation with the help of Vice President Harris being the deciding vote. And that launched a nationwide life-saving vaccination program, connected students to high-speed internet, outfitted hospitals with equipment to prevent disease transmission, reduced child poverty, and sent direct relief payments to millions and millions of Americans. And we didn't stop there. We confirmed 10 women to President Biden's cabinet, the most women in any president cabinet history. We also confirmed more than 30 women to federal courts, more than 2/3 of whom are women of color. And with our Democratic majority, we're going to make history by upholding President Biden's promise to put the first ever Black woman on the Supreme Court. And where did he make that promise? He made it in the South, in South Carolina to be exact. So thank you for organizing, thank you for mobilizing, and thank you for being a truly unmatched force in politics. Your efforts have never been more important because right now we're facing a coordinated attack on voting rights in this country. And you just saw what the Supreme Court did on racial gerrymandering in Alabama. They're not going to be of any help. After the January 6th insurrection, I, along with Republican Senator Roy Blunt and Vice President Pence, took that long walk over shattered glass at 3:30 a.m. with two young women holding the mahogany box with the last of the ballots up to Wyoming. We stayed through that insurrection and through the night because we said we are not going to let these insurrectionists have the last word. We are going to certify the elections for President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris, and we got it done. But it didn't end there. As we sat out on that beautiful inaugural stage with Amanda Gorman and the little snowflakes coming down and the bright blue sky, I think all of us felt this is behind us. Well, guess what happened? It wasn't. In the years since, we've seen an alarming increase in restrictive voting laws, like in Georgia, where after record turnout in the runoff time period, what did they do? They said, well, we're going to mess around with that. The state passed a law to shorten that time period and to say during that time period that no one could register to vote. You know what happened in the last runoff when Ossoff and Warnock won? 70,000 Georgians registered to vote. Now no Georgians can register to vote during the runoff period. We've seen similar changes to long-standing voting laws in Texas, Iowa, Montana. The result? Confusion and voter suppression. As a North Carolina court said years ago, these kinds of laws are discrimination with surgical precision. We've also seen a dangerous surge in threats against elected officials. Local election officials who have no protection. They have no police protection. As chair of the Rules Committee, I know we need to act to protect voting rights in this country and to protect the local election officials that are simply trying to salvage our democracy and count the votes. That's why I traveled with my colleagues to Georgia and Wisconsin and many other states. I've met with leaders like Stacey Abrams to understand the impact of restrictive voting laws. The Rules Committee held the first ever field hearing in decades that the Rules Committee has ever held. No one knew the Rules Committee had all this power. And we put forth a bill, the Freedom to Vote Act, to get secret money out of politics and establish basic federal standards for voting. I spent all last summer getting Democrats together, and we were able to negotiate that bill. It was a strong bill, and we had every single Democrat on the bill. And then you know what happened. I would get rid of the filibuster. But even short of that, we could have reformed it for this purpose because there's 160 exceptions to it already. But unfortunately, we couldn't muster the votes to end that Republican filibuster. It was disappointing, yes. But as Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. has said, disappointment is finite, but hope is infinite. And there is so much more work we can do, like funding elections to ensure local officials have the resources they need to administer our elections safely, supporting the Department of Justice in its lawsuit against Georgia's voting laws and so many other states, passing the Electoral Count Act to make sure January 6th never happens again. And of course, none of this would be a replacement for the Freedom to Vote Act. But I can tell you what you can do, and that is mobilize state by state by state. And now that everyone, the reporters, the Congress, everyone really actually starting to understand what's going on, I think it even gives us a stronger case when laws are proposed in states like Texas or Montana or Wisconsin or Michigan to call it out for what it is, a nationwide coordinated attack on voting. And I promise you this, I will never stop fighting to protect voting rights in this country. And if history has shown us anything, it is that this setback does not mean the fight for voting rights is over. And you know what else isn't over? All the work that's being done to move forward as a country. I'm proud that we passed the rescue plan, which allowed us to get the vaccines out to everyone, and that the Biden administration particularly focused on people of color and evening the playing field when it came to vaccine distributions after we saw those incredibly heartbreaking mortality rates at the beginning of the pandemic. I am proud that we have stood up for the bipartisan infrastructure bill when we see crumbling infrastructure in so many neighborhoods in this country. And there is so much more we can do. Senator Sanders and I joined forces just this week to introduce our bill to bring down prescription drug prices by saying, hey, if the VA can get such great prices for our veterans, and I'm so happy that they do, we should be able to do the same with Medicare. We would literally save consumers and seniors in this country, 46 million seniors, hundreds of billions of dollars, and save taxpayers money as well. And we're willing to take on the pharma companies to make that happen. But the Republicans stopped us, wouldn't even let us debate that bill, but we aren't giving up. Bringing down the cost of child care, bringing back the child tax credit, making sure that we're helping our seniors to live fruitful lives and live lives with dignity in the closing years of their lives, acting on climate change, making sure we move forward on immigration reform just at a time where we need people working and we have job openings in this country. It's the time to get it done. I'm going to fight tooth and nail to get this done in Congress. Criminal justice reform, all of the work that we must do. But as the midterms get closer, there's one thing I know. The way we get this done is with 52 Democrats in the Senate. That would fix a lot of things. And the way we get this done is by working to help elect more Democratic women at every level of the government. And I'm grateful to have all of you as partners. To win big in 2022, our candidates will need resilient, that's what you are, energized, that's what you are, supporters. And I know that we can count on the NFDW. Keep up the great work. Enjoy the rest of the meeting. I wish I could see you in person. I know it's going to be happening soon. Have fun. You deserve it. Thanks, everyone. A little drink of, Senate water, budget cuts.